everyone, Jaimunji here, and I have a very special guest with me today because we're talking about something a little bit fun, which is the Good Things 2025 lineup prediction and rumors. Now, if you haven't been on the channel before and seen one of these videos, I am joined by my lovely friend Drew. Say hi to the people, Drew.
Can I stop waving now, please?
No,
Oh, have to just wait for the entire video. You're in for 45 minutes of this. It's not going to stop. It's never going to stop.
correct.
How
Okay.
is everybody doing? How are you doing, Jai?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I love doing these. I miss having you on the channel. In fact, I need to get you on more often. So when I saw that Good Things finally released the dates, I was like, oh, there's another excuse to get Drew on here.
Of course. And fun fact, this is my first time on the channel officially under the Metal on Tap banner as well. So
Wow.
this is a historic occasion. I'm super excited for this. I'm pumped for Good Things, as I always am. And I love doing these. I love predicting the lineups. I love playing this little game of fortune teller that we do all the time to see who gets the most correct guesses and then who has to carry the bags at the show.
That is correct. And I think we're a little bit luckier with Good Things than we are with Knotfest. We've done a couple of Knotfest reaction or prediction videos now, and we've been awfully wrong on those.
We have been way off on a number of occasions.
But Good Things, we're normally all right. We're normally all right, and we always get at least 5 or 6 bands for Knotfest, which is nearly half the festival, in all fairness. But we're not talking about Knotfest. We're talking about Good Things. Personally, to me, is a favorite of mine. I like the chaos of running around. I like being able to dart in between stages. I like if I want to line up and get food down there, there's a stage behind me. You know what I mean? There's just a lot of fun you can have at these festivals. It's a good thing.
There's kind of more versatility at Good Things, which is one of the great things if my camera decides
I was
to
about to
focus on
say.
me instead of my background. Yeah, there's a lot more versatility at Good Things. You get something for absolutely everybody, and it's just a good, rollicking, fun time every single time.
Yeah, no, spot on, spot on. But the important thing is today you guys have looked up this video because you're curious to who could play. And so are we. Now, I've done a little bit of research on bands I think we are playing now. The last 2 years, I have got the headliner right, and I've got several undercards right as well. I guess Korn, I guess Fall Out Boy, when people were saying not a chance in the world Fall Out Boy were going to play. I even got Bring Me the Horizon right. I didn't know they were going to
Yeah,
be a
you did.
headliner. But yeah, I'm on a good streak, but I feel like, I don't know. I feel like I might be falling off this year because this is the first year in a while where I'm like, whoa, trying to look at things. There are several possibilities, which is exciting. But let's get into it. We might start a little bit lower. I could come out with the headliners right now, what we think, but there's no fun. You're going to turn off the video after that. So we're not doing
No,
that
no
today.
fun at all. Let's start a bit lower. And how about you go first?
Okay. Now I won't go. We'll delve into the Aussie bands a little bit later because we know they're coming. We know they're coming. So when I look at this, and I'm looking at about a mid-range band that I think might play, that I think is due to play in Australia for a long time, and they only live across the pond. Alien Weaponry. I think with the new album out now, I think Alien Weaponry makes all the sense in the world to come back, play an Aussie show, play Good Things.
That is an excellent choice, and I didn't even think of that. I know they've got a bunch of new music out and a new album out, if I'm not correct, soon as well. That is, yeah, a really good choice. And the fact that they're based in East New South Wales, aka New Zealand, it's not that far to get here, and they fit the bill perfectly. They're a band that I think would go really, really well in the Good Things lineup. I've got a band that's I think would fill kind of a similar slot as Alien Weaponry, and I believe they have done Good Things or Not First before, but I think they're due to come back. They are some boys from Sydney. It is the hardcore legends Speed. I think.
Ah, yep. I think you're correct because I had Speed on my list too, actually. Uh,
Okay.
they have played Knotfest, not this year, but well, yeah,
Yeah.
this year, last year. I 100%
Yeah.
agree with you. I think Speed 100% are going to play Good Thing. I almost think that's in the bag. I almost think you can bet on that at the races. Honestly.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that that's going to be a guaranteed one. I want to hear the first test, I believe it's called, the one with the flute. I want to hear
Yes.
that live because that flute just goes so hard. It's blown up virally everywhere on the internet. So I feel like they are much deserved to come to Good Things.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. And since you brought up an Aussie, I might as well bring up an Aussie now. A newer one. Well, I've got two newer, and they've both played Knotfest, and I think one's played Good Things before, but they've both had new albums out since then. So I'm going to go with Thornhill. I think,
Oh, you
yeah.
stole what I was going to say. I was going to say Thornhill as well. Thornhill, is on my list as well, and I feel like they fit that vibe that Polaris, having done good things previously, make them suffer having done good things previously. Now it's time to get some newer Aussie blood in and have Thornhill back.
Yeah,
I can't remember which one they were on, but they were definitely on one, and their new music slaps.
yeah,
So I would absolutely love to see Thornhill, but I'm going to counter that a little bit with a bit more of an Aussie classic band. Well, not really a classic, a bit more of a niche Aussie band, I would say,
yeah.
that are due for a festival slot. They're working on new music this year as well. They are one of my absolute faves, Karnivool.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, yep. Well
So
done.
they did do, there was like this prog festival, I can't remember what it was called, a couple of years ago, that only had 7 bands, and it wasn't really a festival because it was one after the other. But I feel like Carnival are just due for a big festival slot to say, hey, we're here. I know album 4 has been taken like 20 years to make. Like 4 albums in 20 years is a lot, but we're here. We're here to kick some ass. And I just want another chance to see them again. Carnival are absolutely one of my favorites. I'd say they're one of my top 5 bands of all time, and I want to see them in a festival slot.
That's a really good guess, actually, and I think you might be right on that one because if you speak of bands that took forever to release the fourth album, Butterfly Effect played last year, and they fall in that same category. And maybe if Carnival are right, we're 100% putting Cog in for the year after, if
Yeah,
that's if that's the
100%.
case.
It's completing the Australian prog trio.
Yeah, but Carnival make a lot of sense, and because they like to go that nostalgia track with bands that you grew up on and maybe sometimes forget about. You're like, oh damn, I was like, we had the Living End and Jet and everything this past year. So to have someone like Carnival makes a lot of sense, and to throw something in on that, still an Aussie band, different style, fits the bill. Wolfmother.
I also had Wolfmother on my list as well, and I feel like that's a bit of a lock as well. I've had the pleasure of seeing Wolfmother live before opening for AC/DC, and they were fantastic. The second the Joker and the Thief riff comes on, you can't not bang your head. And it does fit into that kind of nostalgia act that brings all ages really to a festival like Good Things, I think. And I
Yeah,
think they're a good lock, I think, for Good Things. And you can definitely see them on stage 3, 4 later into the day where they will just be riffing their hearts out.
yeah.
And yeah, I think that's a solid choice. I've got another Aussie to counter with that I think is a bit more of a bizarre choice. Now, these are kind of guys like the antithesis to Carnival only having released 4 albums. I think these guys are up to album number like 22, and they've only been around like less
Ah,
than 10 years. King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard.
yep. As soon as you said 20 albums, I was like, I know where you're going with this one. I did not have that on my list. I didn't think about that, but makes a lot of sense. I don't think they've done one of these big festival slots. And if
They
they
haven't.
have, it has been a while. Yeah, there you go. And maybe a
They've
Soundwave.
played shows at like the Enmore and stuff like that, and but they've also done a run of headline shows over in the States. They've done a lot of stuff in Europe, but I don't think they've really had that hometown sort of exposure, being a Melbourne band, to broader audiences, and a festival is perfect place to put that. And with the incredible back catalog that they have of music, it'll be something for everybody. It feels like every single album, they're just like, yep, the side quest this time is we want to make a metal album. Now we want to make a folk album. So they've got a lot of variety for Good Things, which I think is a good thing, pun
Yeah,
intended.
yeah. Now, I'm going to throw one more Aussie band out there, and then I'm going to move on. You feel free to continue. But there's always that old Aussie act. And I'm not talking 90s, I'm talking 70s, 80s. Like we had
Yep.
Boom Crash Opera 2 years ago. We had Dragon last year. So I'm going to throw up two. And I think maybe one of these two will join. It could be completely random. It could be someone else like the Choir Boys. Hey, you know what? I'll throw that one to Run to Paradise. Hell yeah. But
Yep.
I'm going with Rose Tattoo and the Angels.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't have either of them on my list, but that would make sense. They're, especially Rose Tattoo, they're another band that really fits the bill to play on a stage 3, 4 kind of,
Yeah.
again, where you see a lot of the Aussie acts like that. That's a pretty damn good choice. And Angels as well. That's another great choice there. I've only really got one more that kind of fits that little era a little bit, and that they're a bit more of a modern band and kind of more modern, I guess, version of AC/DC, Airborne.
I had Airborne on my list, but I was going to skip over it.
Ah,
There you go.
I've I missed seeing Airborne live a long time ago. Funnily enough, they opened before Rose Tattoo, actually. And then the main act was Motorhead. So I did not know who Airborne were at the time. I think this is like 2006 or something. And I unfortunately was at a Porto getting a feed before the show and then heard later that Airborne absolutely killed it. So now, close to like 20 years later, getting a chance to actually see Airborne, I think would be fantastic.
Yeah, no, and I think they fit the bill perfectly. I just decided on Wolfmother over them, but I would not be surprised if both were on there. But let's move to what people want to hear. Some of the overseas bands. So I did mention Alien Weaponry, but that wasn't that far across the pond. So let's get into some of the bigger acts I know you guys are feasting for. There's a band that has not been down here in a long time. I know a lot of people love them. If you're in your 30s, you grew up playing Guitar Hero. Talking about DragonForce. We are long overdue for DragonForce to come down, and something like Good Things just screams DragonForce. You're going to get everyone out there pretending to play Through the Fire and the Flames on fake guitars. I live for that. I've never had the chance to see DragonForce live. They need to come down. The new album came out last year. It's incredible. We need to hear it in Australia. This just makes sense to me.
I think DragonForce is actually a distinct possibility. I feel like they could pull off their own headline tour, and it feels like every band in their dog has announced a headline tour over the past sort of 18 months, and DragonForce wasn't actually on that list. So it's either what are they waiting for, or are they waiting for a festival like Good Things where they would be an absolutely perfect fit? And like you said, that Guitar Hero nostalgia, I think all of us grew up with Guitar Hero 3, and none of us could play it on anything other than easy, at least you and me. And I would love the chance to see that live. They're fantastic live from what I've heard. So I think that is an excellent pick.
Yeah.
I got a kind of counter pick to that as well. Not exactly from America, but still they kind of fit that vein of a band that a lot of people like, and has a lot of nostalgia, but still very much of the modern era, Arch Enemy.
Yes.
Again,
that makes a lot of
another band
sense.
that is very overdue to come to Australia. I felt like they would have been a great fit for Knotfest, this past Knotfest, but they didn't hit there. So I'm just now sitting here waiting, when are Arch Enemy actually going to come to Australia? And maybe Good Things is finally the time for them to return.
Yeah, and with the new album out as well, which is fantastic. If you haven't heard it, I recommend it. A lot of clean vocals for Arch Enemy, but in a good way. It didn't feel forced. I would love to see him, and I'd love to see him on a festival spot. I have seen him at the Metro Theatre, and that's great. But sometimes I just like the live outdoor energy. You know, you get a bit of sun, you get the wind coming through, and I don't know, it just gives a whole new experience seeing a band live. And Arch Enemy, I would love to see on a festival stage because I don't know, maybe a Soundwave once upon a time, but otherwise, I don't think they've done a festival down here. They definitely haven't done one in the last 10 years. Let's just say that.
Mm.
But that's a
And
good
to your
pick.
point about that sort of festival energy as well, sometimes there are bands that you're a bit more of a casual listener to that you wouldn't really go spend your money to see on an actual show, but you would be super happy to see them at a festival. And I feel like Arch Enemy could be one of those bands for a lot of people, especially because Good Things has such a mix of music as well. It's everything from punk and rock all the way to metal. You had people like Behemoth on
Mm.
before. So I feel like it'd be a good chance for Arch Enemy to sort of make their reintroduction to Australia.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good idea. And since we're on the topic of reintroductions, this band has not come down in a while. Is going to bring in the old school metalheads, and I think they had to cancel a tour in Europe, a tour in Europe due to poor ticket sales, but they at least got to do like the UK. I'm talking about Anthrax.
Ooh.
Yeah, I feel they're long overdue to come back down here. I know fans are dying to see them because they're living legends at this point. And to do something like Good Things, they might come down for Not First, but I feel Good Things likes to cater. They've had Sepultura and all that in the past. They like to kind of cater and bring in something a little bit for everyone. And I think Anthrax ticks off something for a lot of people that might not get to see that type of show. We've already got Testament coming down this year. Otherwise, I would have said Testament. So that's why
Yeah.
I'm going to throw Anthrax in the ring instead.
No, I think that's a very good choice. And again, it's another perfect festival band, it feels like. And again, having that reintroduction to Australia is, I think, a good thing. Sometimes you do need a festival. you need a counter on this for how many times you or I have actually said the word good thing or good
Yeah,
things on
yeah.
this. But sometimes you need that reintroduction to go, hey, we're still here, we're still kicking ass. And then that can lead to future shows um, down the track. But yeah, I think Anthrax is a pretty good choice. Now, a band that I don't think needs a reintroduction, but is a solid choice for a festival like this. They're only here last year supporting Iron Maiden, Metalcore Legends, Killswitch Engage.
Yes, yes. I will never say no to Killswitch coming down with the new album, which is fantastic. Just makes all the sense in the world to bring them back down here because the last couple of times I've been down here, it's always been a support. Now they've done some
Yeah,
side headline shows, but before Iron Maiden, they were opening up for Parkway at Luna Park in Sydney. So it's about time. I know a festival isn't a headline spot, but they have the opportunity to do the festival, do some headline shows,
yeah.
and kind of, yeah, like you said, they don't need to reintroduce themselves, but at the same time, I feel they're a band that, as time is going on, people are now associating Killswitch a little bit more with Howard than what they should Jesse, even though Jesse came back to the band. A lot of people, and a heartache, my curse, but Jesse crushes it, and he crushes those songs live too. So it'd be a good
He
idea
does.
to get out there on a festival, be like, oh shit, Jesse does the songs I remember Howard doing so well. And I know people are going, but Jesse was the original singer. Yes, he was. And My Last Serenade and all that is what blew them up. But don't lie to yourself. It was the Howard era that really took
Howard
Switch to
definitely
new.
took them to another level. Yeah.
Like Jesse is no scrub. The new songs are amazing. He sounds great on the Howard stuff, and I think maybe just going out there and reminding people who Killswitch are is an important thing. I think a festival will help them when it comes to touring again and again and again after all these years. I'm sure Maiden helped them a fair bit with that too.
100%. I think having that exposure, especially to the older school metalheads that
Mm-hmm.
tend to go to a Maiden show, is a great thing. And now Good Things caters to so many different people. So get that exposure to the broader audience and then bring them back down as many times as you can, because I will always love to see Killswitch. They're one of the bands that I think got me into metal, like one of the first three bands that I really dug my teeth into. It was CM Punk's theme song
Yep.
when it came out of This Fire Burns, that I was like, oh, what is this? I love this. And then I went down the rabbit hole and became just a metalcore whore like I am.
Yeah, and that's what happens. And speaking of metalcore, let's pump it up to a bit more of the modern years. New album just came out as well. Architects.
Oh,
I've been
it,
predicting Architects for the last 2 years with these videos, and I'm going to get it right eventually. So I think third time's the charm.
it does feel like third time's a charm. New albums out. They're kind of re-blowing up. They're already super popular, but it feels like, again, they've hit that upper echelon now where they are a top tier band that you could realistically see in the top 3 to 4 slots of a
Mm-hmm.
festival like Good Things. I could see these guys being co-headline. If you've got a really strong headliner, I could see them being co-headliner. They're just that big. The new stuff is absolutely fantastic. They're an amazing band live, from what I've heard, and I would love to get a chance to see them on a festival like this.
Yeah, no, I think it just ticks off all the right spots. And like you said, they could be in that top three. And if they're not, they're going to be right where Bullet for My Valentine was the other year. They're going to be the first on the next line down for sure.
So now that we're kind of getting into that headline territory, I know we've got a couple slots sort of on the undercard to fill. We've always got to hit the
And
nostalgia band. We've got to hit the Japanese band. Do we talk about headliners now, or do we want to tantalize people a bit more?
no, let's talk about headliners, and then you guys can stay around because I've got some European bands, a band that reformed recently as well,
Ooh.
and a Japanese band myself. So we'll come back to that. Let's get into the juicy headliner spot now.
Okay, I've got, I guess, there's 3 bands for me that are kind of vying for that headline slot, but one of them I think is more of a lock than others, and I've got some strong reasoning behind it. And that band is Linkin Park.
Mm.
They haven't been here in a very long time for very good reason. Recently reformed with a new singer, released an absolute banger of an album, and even after releasing the album, they're still releasing new music. Emily, I think, was an interesting choice for a lot of people, but the live shows have shown that they are back in full force. Now, they did try to do a big stadium run in the States recently, and due to some poor ticket sales there, they've kind of downgraded to not stadium shows, sorry, arena shows. So a few downgrades there. So maybe that's hurt their confidence just a little bit. And coming back to Australia after a long time, you'd think that they would go for something like it's ANZ or Telstra Stadium or whatever it is, the
Yeah,
big,
yeah.
massive stadium. And I think back in the day they could have pulled that, but now I don't think they could pull that as much. They could sell out a kudos, I think, pretty easily. But having the chance to come on a festival and being a sure thing for a sellout, I think has a lot more appeal. And then they can do some side shows here and there, especially if it's like they go to a Perth and Adelaide, that sort of thing, to round out their sort of time here in Australia. But festivals, I think, are a perfect slot when you have that band that is just reformed with a new singer to come out and just deliver on what they want to deliver on. And it's sink or swim if you have your own show, not as sink or swim if you have a festival slot. So I think Linkin Park are a strong contender for a headliner.
And it makes a lot of sense too with previous or not all of them are headliners, but always in top three slots of Deftones, Limp Bizkit, Korn this last year. Linkin Park make all the sense in the world. Like you said, I probably wouldn't have thought that until you mentioned the downgrade from
that's what ticked it off for me.
Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense. You come into Australia, it's been a long time. Maybe you could do these shows, but maybe they, aim too high and they fall short, or maybe they don't. Or maybe it's just a really good investment on good things to get Linkin Park in because people are going to be like, you know what? It's a festival. Let's go see Linkin Park. There's that nostalgia there, plus big enough band. Because for the longest time, and I've taken this out of my prediction. I was going to say Avenged Sevenfold. I don't know what those guys are doing at this point in their life. They've had plenty of opportunities to come down here. There's no reason why they haven't come down here, so I'm a little shitty about that. Maybe a not fest, I don't know, but they're not in my pick. They're not my pick now. I'm not bagging them, but I think Linkin Park makes a lot more sense. I wouldn't be surprised if you're right. I do have one band I want to mention. I'm going to mention my potential headliner before we get into it. Now, I've got two in this spot, really. 9 Inch Nails.
Oh,
yeah.
I had seen some chatter about them being potential thing, but I kind of ruled it out. I don't know why, but man, that is a good, solid pick.
Yeah. I thought it's been a long time. It's been over a decade since last year. I saw him headline a Soundwave back in the day. I don't know how much touring they do anymore with Trent. He's off doing music scores and, they're getting older. But they're just one of those bands where I'm like, yep, they fit it. They fit a Not Fest too, don't get me wrong. But I feel like, I don't know, it's 9 Inch Nails could be that kicker of, hey, we're here after all this time, come see us. And I think it would work really well. I've got some others, so I won't get into that right now. I'm curious to who else you think.
No, give me your next one.
Okay.
You did say you have two, so I'm curious.
Yeah, because the next ones I don't have. Well, one could be a headline spot, but the other one would have been My Chemical Romance.
Interesting.
Yeah, because I feel they fit good things very well. They are touring again now, and they've already come down here and done their 2 sold-out shows at like Kudos Bank Arena and the Arena show. So that got that out of the way. Got the We're Back, come see us crowd out of the way. So now, if they come back, I guarantee they sell out a Kudos. For 2 nights, maybe not. Festival, perfect band for a festival because all those people that maybe only like songs like The Black Parade and Famous Last Words, like more of a me fan. Like I probably like about 6 or 7 songs, but I did go see them live. I thought it was incredible, but I didn't feel the need to do it again. But at a festival, I'd 100% check it out again.
Yeah, 100%. I think they're one of those bands where I would go see them at a festival, but I don't think I'd shell out money, especially if it's an expensive arena tour like a Kudos. They would be a really good choice. I have kind of hesitant to pick them as a potential because they were here so recently. But all your points make sense of them being a solid pick for a festival, given that they have got that kind of headline tour out of the way. Makes sense that they're a pretty solid pick.
Yeah.
I did have Avenged as potentially one of my picks, but like you said, I kind of like push them to the side. The only other pick that I have is System of a Down.
Yes.
They have not been here for a very long time. There has been so many people wanting them to come, and it is perfect for good things. Good Things can complete the new metal Exodia. They've had Limp Bizkit. They've had Korn. No, Korn was not first.
Korn was Good Things.
No, Korn was Good Things. Yeah, Korn was Good Things. And then now they can have System of Down. They've had Deftones as well, so they just have that new metal Exodia. And again, it's a band that if it was announced for good things, people would rush to buy tickets because you don't know when you're going to get to see them again. Like,
If
this could be the last time if it happens.
Yeah, it's definitely an if. Like, it's like, will I see him again? Yeah, maybe if you go over to the United States with Sick New World, but even that got cancelled. So can't guarantee on that either. So it's one of those ones. And I do think you're right. They're still, if you're watching this, they're in my back pocket for Knotfest. But yeah, so would Korn. And look where they played. They played good things. So you could be very much right. You could be very much correct with that one. There, I think, is it Chavo, the bass player? I think he's talked about, oh yeah, there's a couple of territories we haven't done in a long time we want to do. And I was like, Australia, here we go. So, and last time they were down here was Soundwave. And I think the time before that was Big Day Out. So they are kind of, when they come down here, like to do the festival slots. Because it's as many people and the easiest setup they can do, I guess, at the end of the day. So yeah, system makes a lot of sense. But I'm going to throw a curveball for another great heavy metal band that started in the late 90s. Unfortunately, like System of a Down, disbanded, but have come back. They don't have any new music, but yeah, they're waving that metal flag, and that is Creed. I want Creed to play more now. Now, I don't think they'd be the headliner, but there's always a wacky band that kind of plays like, and now they're not as wacky as like a Tism or a Devo or a Violent Flames. No, but they are kind of like, oh crap. I just want to see a crowd full of drunken Aussies singing Hiram with arms wide open. And we grew up wrestling fans, Drew. I know right now you're hearing My Sacrifice in the back of your head while you're watching emotional tribute videos.
100%.
So even if you hate them, I don't care. They were my gateway band in the metal music. It wasn't Metallica, it was Creed. And if you're like, that's not metal, when you've never heard metal before, it sounds like fucking metal.
That is very true. And if you look at like what a lot of the members of Creed have gone on to do with Alter Bridge, which is 100% a metal band, you can see where it comes. Mark Tremonti is a fantastic shredder. Like, he is just an amazing guitarist, an amazing songwriter. Creed, I would love to see him. As much as I give you shit for all those Creed memes that you end up sending me, like, Jai will just go on a train of sending me like 10 Creed memes in a row. And I'm like, this one's gonna have Hold Me Now. Like, it's always gonna happen. I would love to see them live, and I think that is a good pick. My pick for that kind of nostalgia, kind of weird act, I know Creed, I think, definitely has broader appeal than that, but this one also has really broad appeal to a bit of a different audience, is Avril Lavigne.
Yes.
I feel like people have been predicting Avril for good things for years now. And at some point, it is just going to happen. Like, we've had the Veronicas, we've had the Violent Femmes. Where is Avril? And I feel like this year is finally the year that we get Avril Lavigne at good things.
I hope so, man, because that'd be wild. And she would fit that slot of like, oh, here's the out of place kind of act, but at the same time fits perfectly. Like, you might think Devo was out of place, but they fit perfectly with the vibe. Tism. I think Tism is the vibe for good things at the end of the day, but Avril Lavigne 100% fills that slot. And could you imagine if it was like a System of a Down or a Linkin Park, followed by Linkin Park and Avril, man? Every kid who ever had LimeWire and gave their computer aids, it was because of Avril and Linkin Park. Like,
100%. Like, I feel like that is just a nostalgia-gasm that you could have with a lineup like that. So I'd be really keen to see Avril on the bill. But now I think we should get into some of those more niche bands, fill out a bit more of the undercard. Who you got for the Japanese band, Jay?
Oh, I actually...
There's always one. There's always at least one.
I'm not going to name the four I wrote down, but I'm going to name two.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Knosis. They're a new one. It's the former singer of Crystal Lake, Ryu.
Yep.
It's his brand new band. They've got their brand new debut album coming out soon. So I wouldn't be surprised if that kind of, because everyone knows him. He even did a feature with Spirit Box on a redone version of Holy Roller. So I would not be surprised to see them come down. If I'm crossing my fingers on the Japanese band I want to come down, it's Maximum the Hormone. 100%. But I've got a feeling Knosis might be more likely, or even a Cold Rain is another one. I had a couple more on there, but I don't want to name like 10 Japanese bands and you go, fuck you.
Yeah. It's funny that you mention Knosis as well, because my pick actually was Crystal Lake themselves.
There you go.
I feel like that there's been enough stuff from them that it's not justified that they haven't done a tour here yet. And Good Things always brings at least one Japanese band. You've had Pale Dusk was one of the big ones that came over,
And Hanabie,
and Hanabie as well. I think it's time for Crystal Lake to come. I really want to see them. I dig them massively. I would love to see a sideshow of them. They're always the type of band that would do a sideshow, and I would absolutely love that. Now, there's always a band that fits the much heavier aesthetic. We've had Behemoth as one. We had Slaughter as well as one. My pick for the real heavy kind of band, didn't we have Thy Art Is Murder at one point, or was that not first?
That was not first. But they have played Good Things before. Like they have.
Fair.
Yeah.
So my pick, and they've got a new album coming out very soon, and I want to see them super badly, Shadow of Intent.
Oh, I was hoping that's what you're going to say, because yes, I also want a deathcore band, and probably that's the deathcore band I want. Don't get me wrong. If I want to throw a deathcore band out there that's not Shadow of Intent, I'm going to throw out Whitechapel or Fit for an Autopsy. But I've got a feeling Whitechapel might be a band that comes down by themselves.
Yeah.
Maybe a Hardline Media brings them down, not 100% sure. But Shadow of Intent, what makes me think they're going to come down for a festival slot is, one, I don't believe that they've played in Australia. Two, they're an independent artist. They've given shots to independent artists before, like Imminence.
Yep.
It's not unusual for a festival to bring down an independent artist where it's not the label pushing them to go out and do these overseas tours. So I think you actually make a lot of sense grabbing Shadow of Intent to come down. And if they do, they'll be the number one band I want to see that day. Like, hands down.
Even above Creed? Oh, I've hurt him.
No, my life.
I've broken Jaimunji. I feel like Shadow of Intent, a band that would play probably sooner than Creed. I feel like Creed definitely would be in the last three bands, and I feel like Shadow would probably be a bit earlier than that. So hopefully there's no clashes with that if they do play. I really want to see them play, and I feel like they would be my number one pick if they, like, if I could just pick one band from what we've suggested today, it would be Shadow of Intent. I want to see them so badly.
I would say that too, but now that you mention it, I literally, because I got excited to talk about Creed, bought a hat off Uncle Rico, and it goes, I've got the need for Creed.
Of course you did.
So that's on the way. But yeah, no, look, all seriousness aside, like after Creed, because yeah, that was my kind of like, that's the first album I bought with my own money. It would be Shadow of Intent to follow. Yeah, believe it or not. Yeah, that was the first album I bought with my own money. But let's rattle off some other picks, because like I said, there's a band that recently got back together. I don't know if they've ever come down here. Don't know if they ever will come down here, but I think Good Things is the place for them. Is Spineshank. If you remember them from back in the day. Yeah.
Yes, I do. I did not have that on my radar at all. I think they'd be a really good fit for Good Things as well. Again, it's another kind of reintroduction band, and Good Things does that really well. So saying, hey, we're Spineshank and we're back, like, I think that is actually a really good niche choice. Very left of field, but pretty damn good choice.
Yeah, let's rattle some off. Now, we haven't gone a lot in the pop punk, because to be honest with you, besides like your Fall Out Boys and your Mycams and your Blink-182s, I don't know a lot of pop punk. Newfound Glory might be one that could come for it. I think that makes sense. Story of the Year, they did play the first Knotfest down here, but they could come down for it. I'm sure there's a bunch of great Aussie pop punk bands that I'll discover and love, but let's rattle off. Let's go one at a time, just other bands you think could fill out this festival.
Okay, I'm going to go from the bottom of my list here. This one is, I don't think it'll happen, but it's another one I would love to see happen, given that they were here last year, is Flesh Gold Apocalypse. I missed the chance to see them. I really regret that I did, because the more I listen to them, the more I'm like, yes, I want this. So I feel like Flesh Gold Apocalypse would be a good fit. And given that they were here last year and Good Things is towards the end of the year, maybe it's time for them to come back and do a festival slot. So that could be a potential option.
That makes a lot of sense. And Good Things are known for bringing down European bands as well. Bands we don't get to see all the time. You know, we've got Sabaton, we've got Imminent. So I'm going to throw it out. We're going to go back to the power metal side a bit. Now, there's a lot that could come down, and there's a lot that deserve to come down. I'm going Beast in Black. I would love to see Beast in Black.
That would be so cool. Beast in Black would be an amazing choice. And yeah, it kind of fits that power metal bill. I guess if you have somebody like DragonForce on the card already, it'd kind of clash a little bit with styles. But I mean, Beast in Black is so unique. Their aesthetic is so good that I think that would be a really good choice. If I had to go for another power metal band that I think would be a good choice to come down, Blind Guardian.
Yeah, yeah, and they have toured down here before, so they're no stranger to the audience. But that also fills that slot for, hey, let's get an older band in here to bring in some of the older, because it's not even the older. When you grow up and you start listening to metal for the first time, everyone's got the Metallica shirt, everyone's got the Maiden shirt, everyone's got a Slayer shirt, Anthrax shirt, and then you evolve. Like, I really got into Metallica. I still listen to them, don't get me wrong, but barely. So what it's into now is like your Shadow of Intent, your Spirit Boxes, who I think are coming down for a headline tour, so I didn't rule them in this time.
Same.
But I'm in that more modern band, so it's good to get some of these old bands to bring some of these 18, 19-year-olds that are like, yeah, fucking Slayer, to kind of come see the new music that's around, because, yeah, fucking Slayer are only doing guest appearances now, man. Those headliners are going, and it's good to discover new music. And if you're a gatekeeper watching this, I'm surprised you got this far in the video, to be honest with you. But no, I think Blind Guardian's an awesome choice. And if I'm looking at other bands I've got written down here just to throw in, another Aussie band that have played Knotfest, got a new album out as well, Wind Waker. I wouldn't be surprised to see Wind Waker on the bill.
Yeah, that is a good pick. Every time I get the chance to see or interact with those boys, it is absolutely fantastic. So I would love to see them. I didn't go to their show earlier this year, and I really regret not going. I know you did, and you had an absolute blast. So any chance I get to see Wind Waker moving forward, I'm definitely going to do it. Another Aussie band I've got on my list is Red Hook. I believe they did play Good Things.
They were the first band to ever play it twice, because they won the Battle of the Bands to play Good Things, and then they were invited back as an artist. So yes, good pick.
They're seeming to pick up a lot of steam. Like, you hear them on radio stations like Triple J all the time now. So I feel like now that they're kind of starting to get a bit bigger, they need that extra platform of Good Things to like really launch them into the stratosphere. So I feel like Red Hook is another pretty easy local band as well. So not too much in cost to get them out. So I reckon Red Hook is a pretty solid choice.
Because both times they've played stage 5, so let's move them over to stage 3 or 4, or early day stage 1 and 2. It's time for them to, level up to that level. Another band that I'd love to come down for the exposure, I think it's a band that could come down here, but I don't know when, is the Browning. I would love to see the Browning on the bill. Another deathcore band, but with like a sci-fi tone, and they do an amazing cover of I'm Blue that you need to. And I just want to hear live at the end of the day. That's really what it is. It's selfishness.
Yeah, the Browning are definitely a solid choice. I would love to see them. I feel like they might end up being a support for some other deathcore act to come down. Like if you do have a Whitechapel or a Fit for an Autopsy doing a tour, have the Browning come out as a support, that feels a bit more likely to me.
Yeah,
but that being said, I would not say no to them on a Good Things, but I do feel like they also fit more of the Knotfest bill a little bit.
Yeah.
But a band I think that would be absolutely perfect for Good Things is Beartooth. Like, I can't believe Beartooth hasn't been on a festival here in the last couple of years. Like, I reckon it's time for them to just come and show out. I know they've got Johnny from Bill Murray coming, former member of Attack, who was in... This is a long and convoluted thing, but Beartooth. that's my thing. I feel like
Sorry about that, people, but we've lost Drew in the process. But I think it's time to wrap up this video anyway. The only other band he was going to suggest was Bleed From Within. And I was thinking of the Japanese band Bandmate. And that's about it. Like, there's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot with Mess. There's going to be a lot of punk and pop punk as well. If you know or you've got an idea on who you want to see as well, leave it down in the comments below. I think we've made a pretty strong case here today. So I would be surprised if one of those headliners isn't the headliner. I don't know. The only other thing I could think about is maybe a band like No Doubt. But I think that's about it. Or maybe another nostalgia band, Alice in Chains. But Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I am super keen for this, and hit that subscribe button because I will keep you up to date with everything that's going on. We will be at Good Things doing interviews like we've done in the past, doing photos. I will bring the vlog back. I've been saying that for a long time, but I will bring the vlog back. So stick around. Tell me what you want to see down in the comments below because I do know some people. So maybe I can send out some feelers if you guys are, behaved enough. Anyway, thank you all. Thank you, Drew, for joining us as well. I don't know where he is now. He might have died. But anyway, thank you again. Until next time, I've been Jaimunji, and you all have a good one.